Hello and welcome to another pen video from me, Penultimate Dave. So I have here another 10 pens currently inked. I think let's go through these briefly one by one. We'll go through them in a little bit more detail and then we'll do a writing sample. So from left to right we have the Cross Peerless 125 and this is in the platinum. We have a Cross Peerless 125 and that's in the titanium. We have a Cross Peerless 125 in the quartz blue. We have a Asvine P36 titanium. We have a Montegrappa extra high tech. We have a Molteni Modelo 55S in the royal blue Lucens. We have an Anotto Longitude. We have a Parker, and this is a Duofold 130th anniversary around the world. We have a Taccia Miami Winter's Breath and a Taccia Miami Empress Winter's Breath. So I think let's take a look at these pens in a little bit more detail. So from some previous currently inked that I decided I was going to get a Cross Peerless 125 and these are very nice pens. The reason why I got this was because it had a sailor nib. Now, granted, it's sailor made. It's not an actual sailor nib, but it's made by Sailor. And it's not a King of Pen nib either, which I particularly prefer. However, I knew that going in buying this. I got it for what I thought was a pretty good price. And I have actually been loving this pen. So it does have the sailor made nib for Cross 125, the Peerless there. It is a cartridge converter and you can post the cap. You can push it on really hard, but it's really difficult to get the cap off, I find. I have noticed actually more recently a little bit of a ding here on the body, which is a little bit surprising actually. I have to look through my videos because I don't remember seeing that there, but maybe it was there from the outset and I just didn't see it. Or maybe it's something that's happened more recently, but typically I don't throw these pens around, although I do put these in my rucksack, or more recently I've not been wearing a rucksack due to back issues. I've been wearing a sling bag, but I don't think there's anything that would have pressed itself that hard to have made a mark there. The next pen here is a Cross Peerless 125 and you can kind of see a little bit of a pattern going on here. Now, I saw two of these on auction, 0 bids, this titanium version and this quartz blue version. And from the same seller, the auctions were ending around about 1 AM my time and I wasn't going to stay up. So I thought I would put in a bit of a bid on each. Chances of me winning both of them were going to be pretty remote. However, you can see now I have both in my collection, so I think you kind of know how that went. Again, it's got another Swarovski crystal here in the cap finial. Different texture though to the platinum here. I do like this texture. I think I prefer the platinum texture a little bit more. Again, a Cross Peerless 125 nib made by Sailor, and I can post the cap. Now, the only issue is that I didn't know what nib widths these two pens came in, because the seller didn't actually say. So I kind of thought, well, you know what, these are going to be medium nibs. Well, this one turned out to be a fine nib, and I'm not particularly a fan of fine nibs, especially when they are Asian fines, because they're typically more Western extra fine. But you know what, I took this on the chin. I got this for a very, very good price. So I decided I would just, you know what, accept that. And maybe I can swap it out with somebody else at some point that may have a medium nib. Or I could just swap the sections between these pens if I wanted to. Now, the next pen is this beautiful Cross Peerless 125 in this quartz blue. And you can see that that is a beautiful, beautiful blue. And again, this was the same auction. You got a lovely blue Swarovski crystal there. Same auction, ended at 1 a.m. I put the one bid on and I won it. And again, I was thinking, well, on either of these pens, like they're probably going to be the same nib. So if I'm lucky, I'll get a medium on both. If not, it might be a fine. It might be a broad. And so I thought, you know what? It's not going to bother me that much. So this one I knew had a medium. This one I didn't know what it had, and it came with a fine. So when I opened this one arrived like a day later than this one. I thought, yeah, okay, well, look, it's going to be a fine nib in that case. Yeah, that's not how this works, is it? This is an extra fine nib, an XF nib. And I really don't do extra fine nibs normally. And if I do, it's not going to be an Asian extra fine nib. So this is very fine for me. However, I can post the cap there. And again, I can swap those nibs around if I wanted to. If I want all 2 or 3 of these inked up at the same time, I'm just going to have to like it and lump it. So I guess that is a story for all of you. When you're going to do these bid on these auctions, or even buy a pen on eBay or anywhere, make sure that you know what nib you're buying. And I knew the nib width wasn't there. I could have messaged the seller. I doubt he would have got back that quickly for me to then decide whether or not I was going to bid on that auction or not. So, because I think there were only like 3 or 4 hours to the end of the auction, and it was just one of those things. So, yeah, I've got a medium, I've got a fine, and I have an extra fine. So, if anybody has a medium nib that you want an extra fine nib on, do let me know. I don't mind so much the fine nib. I have been writing with the extra fine nib this week, and it's starting to grow on me a little bit, but it's also, for me, too extra fine. So I think that's just the issue here. So, but I got both pens for a really good price, so I can't grumble. Honestly, they were very, very good priced pens. I just wish they would have had a medium or a broad nib on them. The next pen here inked up is the Asvine, and this is, you'll see here, the P36. This is the coned bulk filler knockoff. And I say knockoff loosely. It looks very similar to it. It's not identical, so it's not a direct copy, but it does look quite similar. And the main difference is that this is a piston. It's not like a vac filling pen. It's a nice size though, and it is lightweight. I did wonder initially though if this might be titanium. I think it is. The price in titanium has come down a lot, but you can see there's some condensation in the inner cap there. That will just wipe out with a Q-tip. It is a nice pen, I have to say, and for the price point, it is a good price for that pen. But it is a copy or a clone, or maybe not a duplicate. It's something very similar to the coned. You could potentially argue that though with any pens. Like, is a cigar-shaped pen, like, could this Molteni look like a Mont Blanc? Possibly, yes. Could these Taccias look like an oversized Mont Blanc 149? Yes, they could. But I think because of the material here in this titanium, it just looks very, very, very similar. Now, the next pen it inks up is a Montegrappa Extra, and this is the high-tech. I've had this inked up before. I really do like this pen. It's got a really weird tactile feel to it. When I run my fingers over the cap here, I can feel all of these holes. And when I say I can feel the holes, they're holes, so you're not going to feel them. I can feel the edges around the holes. It's a very crisp, it's not a scratch, it's almost scratchy, but it's a crisp-like feeling. And likewise the same here for the end cap. It's got texture to it. And then you've got this carbon fiber weave here, which again has texture to it as well. So it is an interesting pen to hold. It's very comfortable. It has a number 8 size Montegrappa nib. It is a piston filling pen, and you can post the cap. The cap is quite, I say quite, it's actually extremely light compared to the rest of the pens. So it is an easy to post cap. However, you do need to be careful though. Actually, I said, sorry, this is not a piston. I said it was a piston. It's a cartridge converter. You can see there, almost out of ink. I was just thinking about that, the sort of like posting it on the back there. It is a cartridge converter. So you won't have any issues posting it on the back there, because it's not going to turn the what would have been a piston knob if it was a piston filling pen. The next pen inked up is the Molteni. This is a Modello 55S in the royal blue Lucens. If you don't know, Omas had a material called the royal blue, which was this material in the cap. They also had a blue Lucens material in the body here, and what Molteni did, or essentially it's ASC, the pen family, they decided to make a cap out of the royal blue celluloid and the body out of the blue Lucens material, and I have to say it's a nice pen. There were only, I'll show you here, there were only so the 55S, there were only 70 of these made, and this is number 25. So from that perspective, it's quite good. You get a number 6 size nib, and it's branded Molteni there. You can post the cap very deeply. It is a piston filling pen. The flare out here actually kind of reminds me a little bit of an Aurora. I have to say that I prefer concave sections on my pens, but because it's fluted out there towards the base of the section, it doesn't really bother me. Although I find concave sections a little bit better in terms of being able to not have your fingers slip down onto the nib and feed and start getting a little bit inky. The next pen inked up this week is the Anotto. This is the Longitude, a beautiful ship faring pen. You can see the rope here. You can see all of the sea scales, or the I want to say this is sea, but it could just literally be wind as well. Very, very nice pen. I do like this a lot. It is a lightweight pen, and I had denied before buying this pen because I have been on a little bit more of a kick on the Anotto silver pens, the solid silver, and they're 93 grams in weight, and I do like the weight of those. So when I bought this around December 22, I denied a few times because I thought, wow, do I really want a lighter pen? However, I do like it. You've got the latitude and longitude there that you can see of the rec. It's got a number 7 size Anotto nib. It is a cartridge converter. You can post the cap, but the cap in itself is most of the weight, so it will back weight the pen a lot. But for me, it's a beautiful pen. I do like writing with it, and it is a long pen as well. And typically, I prefer more weightier, more longer pens more recently. So for me, that in terms of length, that's a good pen. Now, I say in length, this is quite a short pen, and I never actually thought Parker Duofolds or Prestiges to be a small pen. It's just that my pens over the years have been getting longer and longer and more girthier as well. So this is quite a short pen, but this is a Parker Duofold. It's the 130th anniversary. Absolutely stunning pen. Really is beautiful. I am so glad that I was able to pick this pen up when I did. Again, this was another eBay auction for me. and there were quite a few bids on this pen, and I decided I wanted this pen no matter what, and that's a dangerous thing because in the last, I want to say 20 seconds of the bidding for this pen, it jumped about £700. So that's a huge jump quite quickly. So clearly, at least one other person wanted this pen. They didn't get it. I did get it. I'm really sorry if you're watching this, but I really did have to have this in my collection. It's a beautiful pen. It's quite a weighty pen. It's not as weighty as my 93 gram solid silver Anotos, but it's still fairly weighty because it is a metal pen. I believe it's brass inside. You can post a cap there. It's a beautiful pen, writes well as well. So for me, you've got the lapis lazuli gemstone there as well. It's just a stunning pen. I think the gold goes with the blue quite nicely as well. In terms of gold trim, gold cap, gold finial. The next pen inked up is the Taccia Miami Winter's Breath, which was one of my birthday pens. I think it was it a year, 2 years ago now. Beautiful pen. I really do like this. It is a ebonite pen with crushed quail's eggs and Rawdon abalone shell here strips, and the technique is Rawdon to basically glue all of this onto the pen and then Urushi lacquer over the top. I don't know exactly how many layers of Urushi lacquer there is, but just look at this Rawdon. It's a beautiful pen, along with that quite sort of crushed quail's eggs there. Really is quite beautiful. There is a texture to it. You can not feel it like every single egg crushed part of the shell, but you can feel a little bit there. There's some texture. Comes with a number 6 size Taccia nib, which is made by Sailor. I got this in a broad nib. You can post this cap. It won't post deeply, but it will post if you really wanted to. I'm not a poster normally, so I wouldn't normally post that. It is a cartridge converter, like most of these pens, really. Like the crosses here, the Montegrappa, the Onoto, the Parker. They are all cartridge converter pens. And then the last pen here is, again, another Taccia Miami, but this is the Empress Winter's Breath. So a few differences here. You've got this ruthenium or black clip. I'd say ruthenium. It's really a black Urushi that they've put on here, along with the crushed quail's eggs there. But again, and that's on the clip. You've got the crushed quail's eggs here. You've got the abalone shell cut into strips. And then obviously Urushi lacquered to put it all onto the pen. This is a more girthier version of the Winter's Breath here. And it also has a number 8 size King of Pen nib. Again, cartridge converter. Now, you can't really post this cap. It's not designed to do so. It's really not going to stay on. It will probably jump it off. So, for me, it doesn't bother me, but I know there are a lot of people out there that it will bother if you cannot post that cap. So for me, it's fine, but I understand that some of you really do need to post your caps. So that's my county ink pens for this week. I think let's now go and do a writing sample. So the first pen here is the Cross Peerless 125 in platinum. We'll do an ink swatch, and I really do like how this nib writes, and clearly I bought another 2 of these Cross Peerlesses, although sadly not in the same nib, but still I do like how these write. So this is the Cross Peerless 125, and it's the platinum. and it's a medium, and it's an 18 karat gold nib. And the ink in here is Venvustus, and it is Vinaccia, which for me is a very like dark purple coloured ink, but it is an ink that I do like a lot. So I have been using, I've dedicated it to that pen now. The next pen here is again another Cross Peerless 125, but this is in the titanium. So we'll do an ink swatch here, and you can see that this really is a lot finer. So as much as I really do like that medium nib, which is more, because it's an Asian nib, it's more like a Western fine. This is more like an extra fine, Western extra fine to me. So this is a Cross Peerless 125 in the titanium, and it is a fine, although you argue it's more of an extra fine Western 18 karat gold nib. And then the ink in here is Franklin, Christoph, Sweet Maroon. But these nibs, because they're made by Sailor, they do have quite a bit of pencil-like feedback. So the more narrow you get, the more feedback that you get as well. The next pen here, again, is another Cross Peerless 125, but this is in the Quartz Blue. And this is where it starts getting really fine. So this, I can feel when I just do that. This is, as you can see here, a very, very, very extra fine nib. And I do not do extra fine, so for me, I'm not going to sell this pen, but if somebody has a medium or broad nib for the Peerless 125 and I want to do a swap, then I'd be happy to do a swap for an extra fine nib. But this is the Cross Peerless 125, and this is in the Quartz Blue, and it's on the nib, it says XF. It is an EF. X for extra, E for extra, doesn't really matter. It is an 18 karat gold nib. Sometimes some companies put X instead of E. It's just the way it is. And then the ink in here is Ackermann, and it's Binnenhof Blues. I think it's 2 Fs. Probably 1, but yeah, it is actually 1. So just scribble that out. Just looking up at my ink bottle. I should have probably looked at that before I wrote it out, but there you go. The next pen here is the Asvine P36, which is the conid clone. And we'll do an ink swatch here. Now, this is quite a light ink, but I'm just going to prime that piston a little bit more. See if we can get this writing a little bit more wetter. Because this is a very, very light ink already. And I'm going to do it a little bit more. There you go. It's just getting through now. So this is the Asvine P36. I think once I've actually exhausted the ink out of this pen, I will change it for a darker green. This is the titanium. And it is a medium Bock nib. It's a steel nib. And I honestly think I might even go for something like Ackermann, Bazud and Woodgrown or something like that. Something that's a lot more darker green. Maybe something that also flows very well that I'll look at. But the ink in here is a Monteverde. And it is Key Lime Pie. which is a great ink. It typically, you really want a medium or a broad nib, ideally a broad or a stub if you can do it with that ink, because the ink is a very, very bright neon green. The next pen inked up is the Montegrappa Extra High Tech. So we'll do an ink swatch. And this nib just writes beautifully. Really, really happy with this pen. Also got it for a very good price as well, compared to what it would have used to have sold for. So this is the Montegrappa Extra High Tech, and it's a medium, and it's an 18 karat gold nib. And then the ink in here, I just want to double check it. I'm pretty sure I am right in my ink, but I'm just going to check it to make sure. The Montegrappa Extra High Tech, yep, it is KWZ Cappuccino. And like the nib is a wet writing nib, but that ink is also, I find, a little bit lubricated as well, so that also helps out. But that is a beautiful writing nib, just one that I do like a lot. So for me, that is a great one to write with. The next pen here is a Molteni Modelo 55S in the royal blue Lucens. So we'll do an ink swatch here. And this is another pen that I do like a lot. I got it inked up with a different ink this time than I would have previously used. I think because I couldn't think of the ink that I used to put in this. I have got a cell on my spreadsheet that says what favourite ink I like, but I don't think I filled that out. But this is the Molteni Modelo 55S in the royal blue Lucens. Ooh, that's an L and that's an N, with an E. Let's do this properly. Lucens, there you go. This is a medium and it's an 18 karat gold nib. And the ink in here is Ackerman, and it's Binnenhof Blues. And you can see that it's inked up in that pen, but you can see this is a medium, Western medium, which is more like a broad, compared to this, which is in really extra fine, almost, I'd hazard to say, a needle point, because it's that narrow. But you can see the difference there in the colour of the ink being quite different between the two there. So it's interesting to be able to see that there. The next pen is the Anotto Longitude. So we'll do an ink swatch. And again, this is a medium nib. I really, really do like that a lot. So this is the Anotto Longitude. And it's a medium, and it is an 18 karat gold nib, number 7 size nib. And I have to say that I've got a few fine nibs from Anotto, and I like a lot of those fine nibs, but I'm also liking these wet medium nibs. And I have 2 Anottos that have come in recently. And I will not tell you what nib I got, but I think you can guess. So this is, yes, I know what this is. It's Pelican, Edelstein, Topaz, which I also find is quite a nice lubricated ink as well. The next pen inked up is the Parker Duofold 130th anniversary, and this is around the world. So we'll do an ink swatch here, and this is again a lovely writing pen. I do find the Parker nibs to be quite stiff, though. They're not in any way bouncy. So this is the Parker Duofold 130th anniversary. It does have a fine nib, not a medium, a fine nib, and it's an 18 karat gold nib. If you're not aware, on Parkers, they typically put the designation there on the feed, so you see the F for fine there. And then the ink in here is actually Lamy turquoise, which in this pen doesn't look that turquoise-y colour. Unfortunately, it's not a light turquoise, but it does lighten up though, so it's an interesting turquoise coloured ink. But I always think of Lamy turquoise as being a little bit more on the lighter side of the scale. The next pen here is the Taccia Miami Winter's Breath. So we'll do an ink swatch here, and this is again a beautiful writing nib. I do like this. It is a broad nib, although Asian broad. It's the Taccia Miami Winter's Breath. And it is a broad, and it's an 18 karat gold nib. Just double checking, because sometimes they do come with 14 karat gold I've seen on other Taccias. And then the ink in here is Pelican, Edelstein, Topaz, which is a beautiful blue, almost a cerulean blue, very, very beautiful blue. I like that colour a lot. And then the last pen here inked up is the Taccia Miami Empress Winter's Breath. So this is the larger sibling of the two, both in slightly more in length, but also in girth. I picked this one up. The first one here I picked up from Brian at Chatterley. This one I picked up secondhand on eBay. So this is the Taccia Miyabi Empress Winter's Breath. And it's a medium 18 karat gold nib. But it is a number 8 size nib, not a number 6 size. And then the ink in here is, just need to double check this because it could be one of two inks I'm just thinking about. And it is Diamine Ultra Green, which is a nice green. And I did get a few bottles of this, although they were the smaller 30ml bottles, but it's a green I've been using a lot of lately. That cross between that and KWZ grass green, and that's why I wasn't too sure which one I'd put in this pen, because I have been alternating between those two inks. So I think let's take a look at these inks, pens now they're inked up in a little bit more detail. So this is a Cross Peerless 125 in the platinum medium 18 karat gold nib, inked up with Van Vustus Vinaccia. We have a Cross Peerless 125 in the titanium in a fine 18 karat gold nib, inked up with Franklin Christoph Sweet Maroon. And then we're getting finer still with a Cross Peerless 125 in the quartz blue, in an extra fine 18 karat gold nib inked up with Ackerman Binnenhof blues. We have an Asvine, and this is the P36 titanium in a medium steel nib inked up with Monteverde key lime pie. We have a Montegrappa extra high tech in a medium 18 karat gold nib inked up with KWZ cappuccino. We have a Molteni Modelo 55S in the royal blue Lucens in a medium 18 karat gold nib inked up with Ackerman Binnenhof blues. We have an Anotto Longitude in a medium 18 karat gold nib inked up with Pelican Edelstein topaz. We have a Parker Duofold 130th anniversary in a fine 18 karat gold nib inked up with Lamy turquoise. We have a Taccia Miami Winter's Breath in a broad 18 karat gold nib inked up with Pelican Edelstein topaz. And you can see the two different colours here. I actually find that the one when it's in the Taccia to be a little bit, because it's a little bit more drier writing than the Anotto there, it actually comes out a bit lighter. And then finally we have a Taccia Miami Empress Winter's Breath in a medium 18 karat gold nib inked up with Diamine Ultra Green. So there you have it, that's my currently inked pens for this week. Thanks for watching, please like, comment and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next pen video. Bye bye.